You're listening to Living in Spain podcasts with David Wright.
Hi guys, my name's David Wright and welcome to another one of my podcasts. So today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about working in Spain. I get this request from most of the members on my groups and Facebook pages. I'm thinking of coming to Spain and I want to look for work. How difficult is it to find work in Spain? And this is probably the number one question I get asked, apart from what is the best area to live. And that is something you can't answer. It's each of us have different requirements for what we're looking for as regarding to move to Spain. But the work one, I've got some quite good tips and advice I can give you on this one. So I've been living here 17 years in Spain and I've worked pretty much all over the place, travelled around a lot in Spain, and I've been self-employed here. I've worked for people, and I did actually do backhand jobs as well, so I know what it's like here when you first come to Spain. But now I'm all legal and above board and have been for some time. So, what is it like? People say? It's difficult to find work in Spain. I can't find work, or I see lots of people posting on in the groups when other people ask about work in Spain, and they say it's very difficult. There's no work in Spain. It's a crisis and everything. Guys, it's the same anywhere in the world at the moment. Work is bad everywhere. But if you've got a skill that is needed, you're always going to find work. If you're a painter and decorator or a tradesperson, you're looking at working in Spain along the same lines. If you've struggled to find work in the UK with with that sort of trade under your belt, then you're going to find the same conditions here in Spain, but worse if you can't speak the language. So, for example, say you're a carpenter, as I was in the UK. And you get ups and downs in England over the years, as I did, as everyone does. You find that there's quiet spells and there's crises and different things come up and it makes it hard to find work. Then there's a boom and there's a bust and all that. But you get over those things in the UK. And if you've got a skill like a carpenter, a plumber, a bricklayer, electrician, or you've got a skilled office a job that you can offer people, then yeah, you're going to find work eventually, it might be a bit more difficult to find work. But the main concern is when you come to Spain, something else you've got to consider on top of all of these things is the language. And people think it's only a couple of hours away. I'm going to Spain. Oh, there's English people there. I'll find work there. But guys, it's not like that in reality. The big difference here is, okay, they speak Spanish. That's a big difference. But guys, if you're coming here to Spain and your Spanish is almost non-existent or very basic, then you're going to struggle to find work here. Unless you go working in the British areas, working solely for the British people, then yeah, you can find work and you can make a good living. And to be honest, this is what I did when I first came here. My Spanish was very basic. I thought it wasn't bad, but I knew nothing then. And, I knew quite a few words and sentences, and I could order food and drink and stuff like that and ask for directions. But I thought my Spanish wasn't too bad, but I knew nothing then, and 17 years now and I'm still learning. But guys, if you come here with a little bit of knowledge and you're going to be working in the local British areas or big towns or cities, for instance, like Murcia, Malaga, Alicante, Benidorm, places like that, where there are more British speaking people, not just British people, because a lot of German, French, and Italian speak English, so you can work for them as well. But guys, when I came here, my Spanish was bad. So I ended up working for local English speaking people. I won't say Brits because a lot of them were all different nationalities. And I made a bloody good living out of it. I was making pretty good money here in Spain, more than most of the locals. It wasn't what I was making in the UK when I left the UK. Big difference in wages for sure. But I was making a good living here. Now, I started off by renting an apartment, so my overheads were very low. My rent on my apartment was about 140 a month, something really stupid like that at the time, 17 years ago, remember. And I was earning around 300 a week, so I was living like a king here. I was going out for meals 3 or 4 times a week. My wife wasn't working; she worked in the UK, but when we came here, she didn't have to work, and we had a bloody good life for the first 6, 8 months. It wasn't until I started going self-employed after about the first year or so here. I wanted to go self-employed, and that's when it really hit me. I wanted to branch out, and I wanted to set up on my own. Now, before that, working here for somebody else, I didn't have to go and buy the materials. I didn't have to order stuff over the phone. I didn't have to take phone calls and speak to customers here. I just had to do my job working for a boss, and that was fine. And it seemed great for me. It worked well. But when you're coming here and you're looking for work as a business or self-employed, and you're not going to have somebody else to do all these things for you, then you do definitely need to speak good Spanish, not just basic Spanish, because you're going to have to do ordering over the phone. You're going to have to take phone calls to people that you don't know. When you're speaking to somebody on a telephone and it's a brand new conversation on a topic you're not accustomed to a person you're not speaking to face to face, it can be very difficult, even with, especially with the different dialects here, different dialects, different accents that people speak here. From one area to another, they do speak very, very differently. So, that can catch you out, even if you're face to face, so let alone on the phone. So, yeah, your Spanish needs to be good. Otherwise, you're going to struggle. Now, don't let that put you off. You can still come here and you can still find work. There is loads of work for British people that can't speak any Spanish. There is work. And I get fed up with people saying, oh, you're going to struggle, it's going to be difficult. But I know loads of people here, English people, that have come here, don't speak any Spanish at all, and they've set up a business and they're doing okay. They're not making tons of money, but they're doing okay. Some are doing better than others, and there's a couple I won't mention, but they're in the Facebook group, and they've bought their own property without a mortgage. They got a family here, and they're doing very well, thank you, and they live in a much better life. Now, the wages they're earning aren't the same as what they would earn in the UK, I'm sure, but it's still better than average here, and they're having a very good lifestyle, much less stress. And obviously with the weather and the health here, it's just better in general. That's my personal opinion, by the way. But so don't be put off by people saying that when you come to Spain, it's going to be difficult and you're not going to find work and all that. You always get these people. It might have been difficult for them, but probably the main reason is because they've picked the wrong area, or they haven't put in the effort. Now, it's like anywhere. It's down to the effort you're going to put in. So say you come here and you're looking for work, you don't speak any Spanish. If you just go into a couple of bars asking for work, you're not going to find much. Or even if you do, you're going to be competing with other people doing exactly the same thing. Other local Brits that just want a quick job, want to earn a few quid on the side. They're all the same, and they're all going to be competing for the same sort of jobs. So yeah, that's going to be a big bit difficult for you. So say you've got a skill, it's in demand in the UK, and it will be in demand in Spain. For example, like say you're a nurse or something like that, you've got some medical background, the big demand for people like that here. If you've got a trade in the building industry, anything to do with the building industry, painting and decorating, bricklayer, mechanics, all those sort of things, you're going to find work here, no problem. But it all down to the way you can speak, or if you can speak any Spanish. But as I say, you do not need to speak Spanish to get a job here, but you will find it more difficult unless you stay in the areas where they're predominantly British-speaking people. Now, if you can spend the time in the UK, or your spare time, learning some Spanish up to speed on the things that you're going to be needing, and don't necessarily need to go to classes and start learning all the verbs. That is correct, it's the right way to do it. But for example, say you're coming here to be a plumber, then you want to go and start learning all the words, even if you're looking it up yourself on Google, finding books related to those subjects, all the words relating to plumbing jobs and heating and engineering and things like that, pipe work, water, taps, the basic things, all the words that you're going to use in your vocabulary as a plumber in the UK, write it all down, write phrases down, write words down, build up a list of these words, look them all up on the internet, and practice them and put them together, and then that's going to make a big difference when you come here. Now, you can do this with any trade, any skill that you've got. If you're working in an office and you're going to need to use a computer, then it's the same thing. Look up the keyboard, the mouse, the computer, office supplies, and questions related to your job. This is going to give you a big head start, and these words you can start practicing from the first day you're here. So don't get put off, guys, by people saying that there's no work in Spain. I put out a comment a little while ago about work in Spain and asked people to click the link below, comment if you're British or English speaking and you've moved to Spain and you're working in Spain. And it's been up for 2 weeks now, and there's almost 300 people in just my group alone. That's just one group. There's 300 British or English speaking people that are here in Spain and have found work. So, that's just one group on Facebook. Imagine multiply that by thousands, because there's thousands of British people here all over Spain. And they've all managed to find work. So if they can find work, why can't you? So yeah, as I said before, it's all down to the effort you put in, and there's lots of things you can do when you first move to Spain to give yourself a little bit of a head start over the other people. The biggest thing I say, apart from learning Spanish, is research. Research the areas you're going to live. Now, you might want to live in a nice, pretty little village in the hills, and there's some beautiful little villages in the hills here, or a lovely place on the beach. But is that really going to be good for your work, the work that you want to do? If you're a builder and decorator, then maybe living out in the countryside in a little country village, you're not going to find many customers that want your work. And also, the locals tend to stick with the locals for finding tradespeople. I found that very difficult to get in with the Spanish when I first moved here. Unless you can speak pretty good Spanish, then they're more open on that. But research the area, the places that you think will be good to live and also will be good for you to work. Now, this might not necessarily be where you want to move to begin with. So say your Spanish is pretty basic, and there's a lot of work you've seen people advertising for work, or that work of that type in a certain area. Say, for example, in Alicante. You might not like Alicante, you might not want to live there, but go there, work there for a few months, build up your vocabulary, get some practice in with your work, build up some clients, and then move further afield, or move right out of that area completely to a different part of Spain. At least you've got some work under your belt, you've got the idea of how it works here, how the systems work, and that will be giving you a big head start on some of the other people. So when you first move to Spain, what is it you really need to do to begin with? When you first come here and you'll be looking for work, well, don't sit on the beach the first few days. You can sit on the beach at weekends or after work. The main thing is you're here to look for work. So make sure you go out every single day looking for work. Now, you're going to think that's crazy, every day. But when I first started self-employed here and I didn't have many clients, I made some posters up. I made some little flyers, got them printed out on my computer, took it to a copy shop, got a few hundred printed out, and I went out checking out areas where I live, the places I might like to work, houses that I might like to work on, and just put leaflets in the doors. And I put out hundreds of these leaflets, and it got me to know the area a little bit, meet some local people, and did speak to a few people, look for builders, merchants and shops related to the work that I was going to be doing in that area, and found out quite a lot about that area. After a couple of weeks, I did start to get a few phone calls. It wasn't until probably a month after I started putting the leaflets out, and I did this every day, guys, almost every day of the week. Even if I was going out to the beach one day with my wife, one weekend, we park the car up, I see a few houses, I quite like the area, I'll put some leaflets in the door. So I always had these leaflets with me. In the mornings, I used to go out for a bike ride on my mountain bike along the beach at the crack of dawn, watch the sun come up. I used to take a few leaflets with me and stick them in doors, put them on lampposts, things like that. I'm not saying you should put it on a lamppost, because that's not really right. Yeah, they get done for fly posting here, but I used to do that. And I used to have the little tabs at the bottom that you can pull off the number. I did get a few clients from that, but you only need 1 or 2 clients, guys, because it's like a pyramid thing. Once you get one person, if you do a little job for them, like for example, I did adjusted a kitchen door for somebody once. It was a Spanish guy, and I charged him €15 to readjust the doors. I didn't make any money on it, €15. It was dirt cheap, waste of my time probably. And he was happy with that. A few days later, he phoned me up and he said, "Oh, I want another unit put in the utility room. Could you put it up for me?" Yeah, he bought the unit. I put it up. After that, I didn't have anything from him for a while, but his neighbour phoned me and said, "You done some work for my neighbour. Can you do my bathroom?" And I retiled the whole bathroom. So that €15 was a bit of a lost leader, really. But it was all come from one poster, all come from one flyer stuck on a poster when I was out on my bike on the beach one day. So, this is a knock-on effect for getting out and going that extra mile that other people might not do. I did this leafleting and postering like this for probably about on and off for the first year when I went self-employed here. After that, I didn't have to bother. And do you know, it was a couple of years later one day, I went to do a job for a lady here. She was actually Belgium. I asked her where she got my number from, and she pulled out this flyer that was all crumpled up in her top drawer that she had kept because it said on there home maintenance, and I'd put it in English and Spanish, and she didn't speak very good English, and she saw that in Spanish. She kept hold of it, thought it'd be handy, and 2 years later I got work from her, and I ended up putting units in a lounge, hand-built wooden units all around her lounge, with units above, cupboard doors above. It was quite a big job for me at the time, and a new customer. She's been a customer of mine for several years now, a very good paying lady, and that was all from one flyer. So guys, this is something anyone can do. You just got to get up off your backside and put that bit of extra effort in. Don't do as I do see many British here come when they say, I can't find any work, but they're sitting in a bar all day with their friends drinking, and then they're saying, yeah, it's difficult, and talking to each other, telling each other and condoling each other on how difficult it is to find work, but they're not out putting leaflets out or something like that, you know. So guys, it's all down to effort at the end of the day. If you're going to struggle with a business or finding work in the UK, then you're going to struggle here anyway, even more so if you don't speak the language. So guys, I've given you quite a few tips there, things you can do and some ideas. Write these ideas down, write these tips down and improve on it yourself. I'm sure you've got loads of ideas, but the learning's the language around the words and vocabulary that you're going to need for your specific work that you're looking for will be a big factor in helping you to find work here when you first come to Spain, and obviously doing the research on the areas. So I hope these tips have helped, guys, and if it's been of any interest, please give us a like on this podcast, and thanks for listening.
If you have enjoyed this podcast by David Wright, then you will love his new books. Out now on Amazon and Kindle, packed with money-saving tips and information on living and working in Spain. Just go to livinginspainbooks.com. David also has a popular blog for expats in Spain. Come and take a look now at britishexpatsinspain.com.